Hey guys, it's Ben here with VW Family Farm. Today we are talking queen honeybees. Stay tuned. Alright, on several of our videos we've had people asking the question about mating queens. How do I raise queens? Different things like that. I'll be honest, I've done it a couple of different ways, but I encountered something yesterday that I've never encountered before. I was going through all my hives and I was actually on my last hive and come across a hive that had, I think, 10 or 11 queen cells in it. Maybe even more than that that was already tearing down, but I found a virgin queen in there, so I went and I marked her. Well, in doing that, I noticed it looked like she was trying to sting a queen cell. So I thought, I'm gonna get that out of there and I'll put it somewhere else or see if I can use it somewhere else. Well, when I did, I popped it off and noticed that the rim of the cell, which would be the bottom, the bee that was in there was already eating the wax and trying to come out. Well, I looked at it and I lifted it up just a little bit with my fingernail and noticed the queen bee was still in there. Well, I got excited. I popped a couple more off and I had them in my hand and I was running back to the house. I looked like a goofball. That's what we need on video. So I'm sitting here holding 3-4 queen cells in my hand and I know I've got 3 queens in these queen cells. I run to the house and get some queen cages and I'll show you them later. And I was kicking the door trying to get somebody to open it because my hands are full of queen bees and I can feel them in my hand walking around trying to get out. Lane comes to the door, opens it up, and I just holler, hey, I need queen cages now. So he runs back to my man cave and gets in some of my bee equipment and busts them out. Well, as he's doing that, I notice a queen bee starting to crawl up my shirt or reach over and I grab her. Well, I've got 2 in this hand. Long story short, we ended up, I had 4 queens in my hands and we got them in queen cages. Go back to the hive and I thought, well, I'm gonna put them back in the hive because I don't have that many mating nukes. When I got out to the hive, I lifted the top off and there was a queen walking around the top. I thought, oh man. So I reached in my pocket, I had a couple of them extra queen cages. I picked her up and I put her in a queen cage, closed it up, pulled the hive open, pulling frames out, trying to find that marked queen. I found her and she's over there trying to sting another queen cell. Well, long story short, I come up with 8 virgin queens out of that hive. Well, I didn't have anything to do with them last night, so me and Lane come in here in the wood shop and started building mating nukes. Now, if you don't know what they are, I'm going to show you here pretty quick. I ended up putting all 8 of them queens in their cages back in that hive, so now I've got to get these mating nukes built. If you don't know, a queen needs to go on her mating flight, I think it's between 5 and 14 days, something like that. The internet will tell you different things. You don't need to go 2 weeks. You got to get them where they can get out on their mating flight before they get too big. So what I'm doing right now is you know me. If you've known me very long, I like keeping scrap lumber around. I've had a bunch of it here on the floor left over from our hydroponics build, and I knew one day I'd use it. Well, lo and behold, it's all just about the perfect size. So we're just sawing it down and making some mating nukes. All right, I got this off the internet a long time ago. It's to build a 5-frame nuke box out of plywood. Actually comes with another sheet that you can end up getting 4 5-frame nuke boxes out of one 4x8 sheet of plywood. But anyway, I'm taking these measurements and I'm cutting them down just a little bit because I'm making 3-frame mating nukes. And I am fixing to hook Emily up with some paint and she's gonna get to painting while I'm building these. Alright, some of y'all probably want to know what sizes these are. The sides, you'll need 2 pieces. I'm cutting mine. These are 10 1/4 by 19 1/8. Just what I had, and that's what it calls for. But if I had it to do over again, I would probably go this one about 11 1/2 inches deep That way if you've got a frame that you pull out of your hive and it's got queen cells hanging off the bottom, that gives them a little more room to hang down, and when you set your frame down in there, they're not going to set right on the bottom. But on the 5 frame, the insides, the front and the back, will be 7.5 by 9.5. But since I'm making it a 3 frame, I'm going 5 inches by 9.5. So I'm gonna get them cut. These by no means have to be perfect. They just gotta be pretty square. All right, then these right here, these are just the scrap pieces I cut off when I made it 5 inches. You take these right here and make me a mark. You're gonna put them on here. What you did here is now you've made you a lip for the edge of your frame to sit on. Now in just a couple of minutes, I've just built me a 3 frame mating nuke. Easy.
Just that, but then the whole back part.
There you go. Alright, watch her. Record her paint.
It's doing okay, but
See here, here's Emily painting some boxes.
yeah,
Ben.
yeah. That's what we were gonna buy. Because it's not free.
Alright, I'm hustling out here to the bee yard. Running out of daylight. The sun is already set. But I do got the 4 nukes built. And we're fixing to try to show you how to make queens. Or should I say, how you could make queens. So, let's go. Alright, as you can see behind me, the sun is set. Now I'm fixing to open up this, what I call my queen castle. Ended up throwing together real quick a little 2 frame nuke, because what's in here is only 2 frames. Got me a helper out here. Oop. Hold on just a second, try this. See if it'll work. They may have it glued in there too. Push it out. Straight up. Set them in there. There we go. Alright, in the queen castle, all it is I've cut little grooves in just a normal deep box before I assembled it, and then, like everybody makes fun of me for hoarding, I found a road sign and cut it up where it'll slide right down in them grooves. That isolates everybody. Only thing I don't like about it is you got to make something to fit every one of them to keep the bees from going side to side, or if they can get to the other one, they'll kill that queen. So that's the bad part about these, having them all right there together makes it a little harder to work. All right, I'm not exactly sure where the camera went dead, but it went dead last night. We was in a rush. We actually worked till dark. We were using a flashlight on our very last hive. As you can see behind me, I've got all the mating nukes or mini nuke, whatever you want to call it, set up, and I've also got the queen castle set up. Ended up one of the queens in the queen cages, one of them ended up dying last night or yesterday, so we only ended up with 7. I turned one back into the hive that they all come out of, and then we put the 4 mating nukes and 2 sets of bees and queens in the queen castle. So now I've come out here today to release the queens. Alright, we're going to go through this first one. We're going to release her, see how everything looks today. see the bees. Here is the queen cage. They're not acting happy. Let's see how this goes. Here's the queen. She's gonna come out. Maybe. Not exactly sure where she just went. I hope she went in there. Maybe I can look back on the video and see. Alright. Try this next one. Now I just seen her go down. Alright, see her walking around in there. Oh, come on, get back in there. Oh, 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 oh. That was kind of crazy. She flew up and then fell down on the ground. I was glad I seen that. Get my glove back on. Put that one up. There she is. I just seen her walk down. Alright, now this is the queen castle I built. I have not yet put a divider on the top of the second one. I really need to do that. Let's see what they look like. Actually just going to slide this lid. I need a little counterweight here. I'm going to slide this lid over just far enough where I can get into these two frames. I'll go through them and then I'll get back in this one. What this is, it's got 4 separate compartments. I'm not sure that I was able to show you last night, and I'll show you better in a minute, but 4 compartments. This side can come out the side over here. This one comes out the front. The next one goes out the back. This side goes out that way. You can raise 4 different batches, but the bad part about it is when you're wanting to go through this one, you got to make sure these dividers, is what I call them, lid dividers, is sealed tight so they don't spill over into each colony. Just a little more difficult to work with. Alright, seen her go down. Put this divider back on the top. Try and smush as few bees as possible. And I'll put that on there to kind of hold it down. These 2 frames, when they're rearing a queen, can go out this exit hole. And it's better if you have them separated a lot farther than I've got this. But this is what I could do temporarily last night. And I always paint them a different pattern. As you can see, Emily painted that one. Got a pink with some flowers. This one's a different color. What do you call that? Teal. And they know to come back here. Totally different color with even different pattern on it. Same thing there. That's a purple, but it's starting to look pink. But you do that way when the queen flies out, she knows which colony to come back to. Alright, last one. And there she is. And she just walked down the frame. Alright, so if you've got multiple hives like I've got, or even if you've just got 2, and you have one of your hives go queenless, you don't find any eggs, any brood or anything like that, and you know it's been at least 21 days since the virgin queen has hatched and took off on her mating flight, you can always go to one of your good hives, take a fresh frame of eggs. I always look for the eggs that's standing straight up. Wherever she's at, you're going to have fresh eggs on that frame. You can take that frame and put it over into your hive that is queenless, and they should draw out a queen cell or several of them actually. Or if you're just wanting to raise queens, then you can take a frame of fresh eggs and brood, larvae, and quite a few bees and put in one of these mini nucs, separate them from their hive, and in a couple of days they're going to draw you out some queen cells. So that's one way that I was raising queens, just to have in this, what I call queen castle. That way I've always got spare backup, so if I lose queens in swarm season, or I smush one, or one just doesn't perform as well, always take a fresh frame of eggs and quite a few bees, and I always like to throw another frame of brood off in there, because it's going to take them right about a month for her to start laying again and you to start seeing fresh brood. So that's another way that you can rear your own queens. Anyway, I hope y'all are liking the bee videos. I really like working my bees. I like messing with them. I always like learning new things about my bees, about everybody's bees, and new ways to try to do things. If it was me, on my advice, I would do these. Let's see, that one, that non-painted one right there is a 2-frame. These here are 3 frames, and I've got frame feeders in there, so I'm only using 2 frames. But I would advise them before I would ever build another one of these. But that's just what I done at the time. It worked. I just think these are going to work better. All right, thank y'all for watching, and until next time, God bless.